I'm logging on here to talk dogs. It's the end of the day. I'm relaxing. No better time to talk about dogs, training, so on and so forth. So let's get after it. I'm going to wait for people to check in here. And once they do, we're going to start talking dogs. We're going to talk training. Elite members, throw your questions at me. If you guys want me to riff on a topic, hit me up with a topic. It's all good. So, I know there's a lot more elite members than when I checked in on YouTube last. That's for sure. Um, hey, TJ, how are you? There's a lot more elite members. I guarantee you that. Don't mind the cigar, guys. It's to keep the mosquitoes away. It's for my health and safety. How's it going, guys? So I know there's a lot more elite members than last time I checked in, than when we checked in last on YouTube. We've had a few on Instagram, but we haven't had any on YouTube lately. I'm super active in the Facebook group. So I know I've been answering a lot of questions on the Facebook group. If you're an elite member, if you're taking one of my online courses, get on the Facebook group, guys. I don't know what it is. Let me see. Havana Castle. I think it's it's a local cigar store and they make their own. It's really good. It's made in Nicaragua. Like super smooth cigars. I really like them. How's it going, guys? How's it going? Is Fetch a good game to play with your dog? Jose, if you're an elite member, you're disappointing me so far. Is Fetch a good game to play with your dog? Of course it is. Are you crazy? It's one of the best games to play with your dog. Structured play is one of the most productive things that you can do, right? Like it is the most productive thing you can do with your dog outside of actually training your dog. Matthew, Sriracha, and Blade. How you doing, man? How's Blade doing? How's Sriracha doing? I have still Sriracha's brother and sister here. And they're interesting dogs to train so far. If you guys are in the elite members, like if you guys are taking one of my online courses, get your ass into the Facebook group. There's only 550 people in that Facebook group, and I know there's like 5,000 members now, something like that. I don't even know. There's thousands of you now. Get your ass in the Facebook group, guys. Like I'm answering all the questions like daily. I shoot like little videos. I like to be very active there because I'm on Facebook a lot anyways for business, so it's kind of easy for me to get to all your stuff. Let me see if there's any other questions here. I disappoint my father too. Funny guy. Bite training, does it make a German Shepherd? No, bite does not make a German Shepherd or any kind of real Bite generally doesn't make a personality. Well, it's impossible to change the personality of a dog, but what it can do is it can change reaction to stimuli. So I have certainly seen it where a dog has had too much civil work, right? Where the dog learned, a lot of dogs really, really like sorry, guys. I was just reading the other questions. So a lot of dogs really, really like bite work, like love it. And I've certainly seen some dogs that have had too much bite work in a very civil setting. So they've had it like anywhere and everywhere, in elevators, in the house, out in the local park, everywhere. And the dog now looks everywhere for bite work, which isn't healthy. Right? The dog should really have a good understanding of what the context of bite work is, which is why I limit, like I do enough civil work that I know it's there, but I don't do so much that we create a ticking time bomb with the dog. The average dog though doesn't fall into that category. They don't love it enough, let's say. But if you've got like there are some dogs for sure that we train and I'm like, ooh, this one I got to be a little bit careful with him because for sure there's more potential that if we do too much civil work, he could go too far into that area. But most people don't have the dog, especially people asking me that question. No offense. You're not going to have that kind of dog. Hmm. All right. Somebody, oh my God, there's super chats. I had no idea there's super chats. How do you deal with clients that do not follow your training program? And also, at what point do you fire a client? Issue a refund if you fire them. Um, so it there it's a couple of things. So it depends on what we're doing. I'm very hard on clients that aren't following the program. Like there are some people for sure, like thankfully not too many, but there are some people that come out and they do not try very hard. Or they just expect you to train their dog for them and they're not going to do any work and everything's going to be perfect. These types of people, I usually put a lot of verbal and social pressure on them to the extent that they start to change their behavior, or some of them ship out. Some of them don't come back, and I'm fine with that. Either way, it's good. It's good, because there are for sure some people like that. I have fired very few clients. There have certainly been a couple that, over the years I've said, hey, this isn't working. Like you're what you're doing is not fair to the dog. I'm not. I usually say, look, I'm not going to hold your dog accountable for behaviors that you're not holding your dog accountable for. So if you want your dog to behave a certain way, but you're allowing all these behaviors, and like I'll literally watch them, like the dog's like being reactive. They've been told how to correct the behavior, and they just stand there like lumps on the dog, like lumps on a log, while the dog's just losing its mind. And it's like been like the fifth, sixth time. It's like, hey, look, if you don't care, I don't care either, right? I'm not going to correct your dog anymore. It's not fair because you're not correcting your dog. So now we're creating a situation where there's a lack of consistency, and that is abusive, in my opinion. Because the dog's like, what the hell am I being corrected for? Now, I was always allowed to behave like this at home, and now he's coming to Shield Canine. He's getting corrected for things that he's normally allowed to get away with. I refuse at that point. When I catch on that that's going on, and unfortunately sometimes it is, I'll tell him flat out, hey, look, man, this is the last time. I'm not correcting your dog anymore. You got to care in order for me to care. I mean, if it's a group class, a lot of the time, I'll just be like, hey, look, you can take the rest of the group class, but understand that I'm not going to be doing anything more with your dog, right? And I tell my trainers to do the same thing. What's your opinion on the, and thanks for the super chat. I didn't even know that was on. What's your opinion on the two-toy method? Well, Jay, two-toy is good. I like it for competition training because it really gets in the dog's mind. Go, grab, turn around, and come back. And I really like that for competition training because it really bleeds into dumbbells. When you throw the dumbbell and the dog grabs the dumbbell, turns around, comes back. I don't do it as a way to like generally teach the out. I know that's what a lot of people do because their dog actually won't let go, and that's why they do the two toy. For me, the vast majority of dogs, I mean, there are a few that I've used two toy, but I pair it. I don't do it the way most people do it, like as a trade. I use it. I use with the e-collar in a way that, I mean, I'm not really going to get into right now, but suffice to say, I don't believe in trading too much. At the end of the day, for us to play with one another, 99.9% of dogs, listen, dude, like you got to have some respect, right? That's part of the game. I tell you to let go, you let go, then you get to have it again. That's the way it works. And the vast majority of dogs can handle that mentally. And then the ones that don't, I might use the two toy method, like I said, paired with the E or some other stuff to create some clarity. And then I just go to one toy. The only time I use two toy is when I'm training competition work. That's the only time. Never to get the dog to let go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate all the positive stuff. My 9-month-old Schnauzer's reactive, but I believe he's far too excited and wants to meet and play with every dog. Do you approach the same? Yes. Reactivity is reactivity, right? Arousal is arousal. What is reactivity? Your dog is directing arousal towards a specific target, right? For me, it's funny. Like I was just filming today, as part of the competition course. I took my new dog Yaxie into the room, and I was just filming part of that course that we were doing. And at the beginning of the session, he saw another dog in the room, and he decided, not like angry or anything, just excited. He started barking at the dog, and I tuned him up for that. And I put that in the course, by the way, so you guys can see, because that's a big thing that a lot of people struggle with in the competition world, right? Oh no, your dog can't be too close to my dog because my dog's going to lose his mind, not be able to focus. It's nonsense, right? because they learn in the training. In the training, I teach the dogs, like very early when they're very young, don't direct arousal towards other things. Arousal is mine. All the arousal is for me. Okay? Now, it's a little bit different than with the pet training. In that case, I don't want arousal anywhere towards me or anything. But in competition work, arousal is mine. You're stealing my arousal. You've taken what belongs to me and you're spending it on someone else or something else. Unacceptable. So, I tuned him up. He turns around and starts barking at me. I reward him. He figured it out real quick. Right? So these are the kinds of things that people, arousal is fine. It just better be coming this way. Now, for a pet, no arousal at all directed towards, the target. Now, if the dog tries to redirect on me, well, then that's also a bad day for him. Clarity, right? How well trained do you think you could get a French Bulldog? I can get a French Bulldog perfectly trained. I mean, I like them. They're stubborn. I've definitely had Frenchies that eat like 100 on an e-collar, like it's a candy. But it's no problem to train them with or without an e-collar. They're generally highly food motivated. They're generally highly play motivated. They're stubborn, like most bulldogs are, and independent, but also quite smart. They also have pretty high arousal that a lot of the time they'll, um, aim at other dogs, which is normal for any kind of bully. Okay, this is a super chat. So funny. I have no idea how I even turned the super chats on. I don't know why it's on. I know the topic is analyzed to death, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on diet. I often hear German Shepherds have food sensitivities. Um, No, I don't think most German Shepherds have food sensitivities. What I find is a lot of owners run around like crazy if their dog gets a little diarrhea or a little hot spot, and they change the food a half a million times, and then arbitrarily decide that the dog's allergic to X, Y, or Z. Listen, I've had a lot of German Shepherds, and I can count. I think maybe like one or two were like legitimately allergic to something, right? And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Knock on wood. I hope none of my current dogs ever get that. But 9 times out of 10, what I find happens is people put their dog on something new, like they get the dog and they put it on something new, and the dog gets an upset tummy, or the dog is doing well and then maybe just gets sick, as dogs do, gets like, crazy diarrhea or vomiting or whatever, and it goes on a little bit, maybe longer than the owner's comfortable with, and then they panic and they changed the food like again, and then they changed the food, and I had a client who did this, right? Like he took the dog home, he put the dog on a food. I think the dog actually caught giardia, and he thought it was the food, so he kept switching the food, and the dog's stomach got so messed up, and he was telling me, oh, the vet says he has EPI, he has this. I said, nonsense. I had that dog for months, and I was feeding him whatever in the kennel. So I told him, stop switching. I don't care what happens. Use this specific blend of food, like just a kibble, okay, a salmon-based kibble. I like fish-based kibbles for sensitive dogs. Use this. Don't switch off of it no matter what. After like 3 weeks, the dog had settled down. His system had normalized. There was no more EPI or any of this other stuff. That's the other thing you have to be aware of. Unfortunately, a lot of vets might take you on a little bit of a wild goose chase, and medications and switching foods and all this type of stuff. You have to be careful. Thanks to you, my German Shepherd is a well-behaved boy. Much love from the Philippines. Thank you, my friend. How many verbal corrections should a puppy get before you give him a physical correction? Well, I wouldn't. I really am very careful. A lot of people see with puppies. A lot of people really see like are more adult dogs, and then they try to like hold their puppy accountable to that behavior that they see our adult dogs expressing. And that's not fair to the puppy. A lot of the time people are asking, oh, my puppy's pulling me, my puppy's barking, it's a baby. Just chill out, walk them, feed them, do a little bit of positive training with the food. Our puppy course goes over all of this stuff, what is and is not acceptable for puppies. Can you train puppies to a very high level? Yes, and I've done it before, like with Malinois puppies and stuff, where I've trained like a 4-month-old puppy to heel off leash and sit and down and do everything reliably. But I don't believe in it. just like I'm sure I could take my 3-year-old son and force him to do a lot of things he doesn't really want to do. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's good for your puppy. So there are a few unacceptable behaviors, like if my puppy, like legitimately tries to bite me over something, well then I'll tune his ass up and he'll learn better. But generally, there isn't a lot that I put tons of pressure. Place command. For those of you in my course, you'll know kind of where we put the pressure on the puppies. But generally, I keep the training relatively positive and my expectations quite low. Okay. How'd that go? Okay. Sorry, guys. Tell me if the connection kind of got a little funny there because I turned on my battery saver because my phone's a little bit low. Um, could you use a bonker for a dog who redirects and won't stop with the correction? It's an option. I love the video you did on resource guarding. Oh, thank you. At what point, while working with a dog with behavioral issues, reactivity, resource guarding, would you come to the decision after exhausting all training methods, or would you decide to euthanize a dog? Very rarely. There are a number of issues to consider. So, safety, right? For me, I generally have a very low tolerance for dogs that are aggressive towards small children, and to the extent where it's not just "hey, leave me alone" aggression, it's "I'm gonna legitimately nail you, put you in the hospital, maybe kill you." There are certainly a number of dogs I've run into that have that problem, and right off the hop, I tell the owner, "Yeah, that's never going to get better," and I would never trust them around a small child, and it's not worth your small child either getting life-altering injuries or possibly death to work with this dog. Put him down. For me, any dog that shows that ideation, and I've dealt with a few, unfortunately, I don't. And a lot of them, by the way, by the time they come to me, they're already telling me, "Hey, look, he already bit my kid. My kid got stitches." Blah blah. No, get that. That's not worth it. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Right now, there are some other instances. So I'll talk about something that happened recently. Um, One of my trainers. Hey guys, I think I lost you guys there. Sorry. Ugh. All right. Let's see what happened here. I had connectivity issues. Okay. Let's go through this quickly. Oh, Larry, I see you in here, or I saw you in here. um, where was I? Oh yeah, so we were talking about dogs where I think it's kind of, maybe the best idea is to euthanize the dog. So we talked about the small children. Recently we had a dog, so he had bitten multiple family members very, very severely. So we took the dog, and I'm always very honest with the owners, and I tell them, look, I think, um, I think that this dog, the outlook probably isn't very good. He's very unstable, and like he didn't just bite them, like he bit them, right? And it was whenever he became uncomfortable about anything, right? He would just attack, and like not a little attack, he would really attack, and that's the problem, right? So, anyways, we had him 6 weeks of training. We really worked on pushing a lot of his buttons. He tried a few times, but he was pretty good. So here's the deal: the family decided, and of course, I'm not going to say who it is or what the dog is or anything. The family decided, hey, look, we love him, we care about him so much, we can't live with him because a couple of the family members were just too scared, understandably so. So we're going to send him to another country. They knew somebody in another country that wanted the dog, believe it or not, a dog trainer. Said fair enough. So they came, they took the dog to the vet. The vet gave the dog a health certificate, whatever, whatever. Dog comes back. So Hef, who's a guy who does a lot of our aggressive dogs, he's just real comfortable with the aggressive dogs. He goes up to the family. He's been training the dog 6 weeks. Dog knows him. He's had, the dog's not in a muzzle or anything like that because we kind of progressed past that. And Hef made a critical error, and it's not his fault because I might have got caught like that. He basically reached for the leash because we were going to take the dog back until they could fly the dog out. And the dog was with mommy and daddy, and the dog, anything about aggressive dogs, they're much worse with their people, especially if their people don't know how to handle them. Anyways, dog right away grabbed him by the hand, and unfortunately his thumb ended up in the back of the dog's mouth. The dog regripped and basically crushed the end of his thumb. So we're going to do a little video on that separately, not actually showing it, of course, because we didn't have a camera rolling, but a video just kind of talking about it, and maybe we'll show the thumb and stuff like that. Hef will be fine. Don't worry. He'll be back to work soon, but just a little interesting. So for that kind of dog, I say, look, this is a dog that can live with very few people. You certainly wouldn't trust him around small children, no matter what. Training doesn't fundamentally change what a dog is. And I think, the fundamental temperament of a dog is genetic. What training does is it gives you control, right? And certainly over time, if you're exhibiting control and you're not allowing a dog to do certain things and self-satisfy with certain behaviors, you will see their temperament begin to change. And that can happen sooner rather than later, depending on the dog. I've certainly had dogs that were really unfriendly coming here and left super social, right? But the vast majority, I would say, if they're antisocial, as long you train them, you show them, hey, this is unacceptable, this is acceptable. It doesn't fundamentally make them social per se, but it gives the owner now the ability to have a dog, live a normal life with the dog. Everything's good. And I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it again. My dog Gage is not social. He does not like people. He is a very reactive and nasty dog by nature. He's great with me. He's relatively good with my family. He better be, right? But I can't let anyone touch him in public, and I manage him properly. I can walk him off leash down a busy road, right? But I'm not going to let people touch him, and I'm not going to set him up to fail. And that's the big thing with a dog like that, right? So there are certainly instances. Larry, nice to see you, my friend. Hey, for those of you who haven't checked out Larry's book, I actually bought Larry's book. It's a good, it's funny because I'll shill for Larry. I'm sure he'll send me some some royalties. Um, I liked Larry's book because I read it, and as a dog trainer, I'm sure I stole something from it. But it was a long time ago that I read it. I'm sure I stole something from it. I can't tell you exactly what it is. If I remembered exactly, I would tell you because I'm a thief. I will whatever I find. I said it before. I'll say it again. I'm a dog training pirate. If there's something I like or think it's a bit better than what I'm doing, I'll take it and I'll incorporate it into what I do. Generally I won't like now that I'm doing online courses and stuff like that, I won't resell it. I won't resell it like and say, hey, this is me. Like I will not do that. But I mean, everything I like to take a little bit from everybody. So Larry's book I liked it because I thought, somebody could read this book and not know how to train a dog on an e-collar, and it wouldn't do any harm. Like even if they really were an idiot, right? Like it wouldn't do any harm when it came to like training with the e-collar. Like and if you were somewhat competent and you read that book, I think you'll have a pretty well trained dog by the end of it. So, especially when it comes to recalls and stuff like that. So I think that book was, a very good book for people who had no idea how to train a dog with an e-collar. Yeah, that was the exact purpose. And it makes sense. It makes sense. But hey, I appreciate the love, Larry. I think, me and Larry, at some point we should have a discussion maybe because I think we disagree on some things. It's always more interesting to disagree than